Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for latest updates. When Fast and Loud came on TV, it brought lots of tire smoke, quick car builds, and people fighting that made it fun to watch. In all this craziness, one man was different. He wasn't the loudest or most dramatic, but he was the most steady. Jason Aker was the calm guy in all the chaos. He didn't care about the cameras or cool sayings. He cared about getting every detail perfect. Every car project that came through Gas Monkey Garage had Jason working on it. His steady hands, his old way of doing things, and his no-nonsense way of making things perfect. While Richard Rawlings acted like a circus leader and Aaron Kaufman did the wild builds, Jason quietly became the craftsman that real car lovers respected the most. What made Jason special wasn't just how good he was with a paint gun or sanding tool. It was how much he cared about doing things the right way. Even when nobody was watching, he wasn't there to be famous. He was there to save the soul of every car. His knowledge of how cars looked when they were first made, perfect preparation, and exact paintwork made every build he worked on better. And fans saw this. Even though he hardly ever talked on camera, Jason got lots of loyal fans. People who liked skill more than show. While others wanted to be famous, Jason wanted to be perfect. But when Fast and Loud ended, Jason disappeared from the spotlight just as quietly as he came in. No goodbye interview, no farewell show, just gone. And in a world where everyone wants likes and followers, his silence became a mystery. Where did he go? Why did he walk away? And most importantly, was he still building cars? This is the story of Jason Aker, the master car restorer who picked being a craftsman over being a celebrity, and whose quiet story might just be louder than anyone thought it would be. Jason Aker wasn't like other reality TV mechanics. While others were making jokes or racing against time for the camera, Jason was focused on getting a finish so smooth it could show your reflection perfectly. He wasn't just a painter. He was a restorer in the truest way. His specialty was perfect detail that went way beyond just looks. Every stroke of his sanding tool, every layer of primer, every smooth edge of clear coat. He worked on a car's surface the way an artist works on marble. At Gas Monkey Garage, where time was money and drama made good TV shows, Jason offered something rare: patience. When others were rushing a job to show the next build, Jason was still in the paint booth checking for tiny holes or uneven drying. He didn't care about being on TV. He cared about doing great work. And his love for quality made him a fan favorite, even though he barely spoke. Viewers noticed that the cleanest, shiniest, deepest paint jobs on Fast and Loud always had Jason's work behind them. What most fans didn't know was how important this work was. These weren't just regular paint jobs. Jason was often asked to restore rare Mustangs, Shelbys, and other expensive cars for customers who expected perfection. The difference between a good paint job and a perfect one wasn't just how it looked. It could mean tens of thousands of dollars more when the car was sold. And Jason never messed up. How much attention he paid to preparing the car was legendary. Hours spent wet sanding, setting up the paint booth just right, picking materials that would last well, and stay deep-looking under bright lights. Some people paint cars to look good today. Jason painted them to still look good in 20 years. The name Paint Whisperer wasn't just a nickname. It was something he earned. And even today, other builders talk about his methods as the best way to do things. Before TV fame ever found him, Jason Aker had already made a name in top restoration circles. Born and raised in Oklahoma, Aker grew up around old cars and old-school craftsmanship. His good name wasn't built overnight. It came from decades of real work. Long before Fast and Loud, he was restoring rare Ford Mustangs and Shelbys with so much detail that it attracted serious collectors and car historians. His early career included lots of work with R&A Motorsports, a well-known shop that specialized in perfect builds. Jason wasn't a hot rodder in the usual way. He wasn't trying to make crazy horsepower numbers or trying to create something totally new. His goal was to make things authentic, making a 1967 Shelby GT500 look and feel exactly like it did when it first came off the assembly line. And when it came to paint, his standards were even higher than the factories. He learned old techniques from restoration experts, but also used modern tools and materials to perfect what others thought was good enough. By the time Richard Rawlings came calling, Jason was already in a league of his own. That's why Rawlings wanted him. Because Gas Monkey was working on serious projects with million-dollar builds, and they needed someone who wouldn't cut corners. Jason became their quiet ace card. He didn't have a wild personality like Aaron Kaufman, but he brought just as much value, if not more, because his work gave Gas Monkey Garage respect among real collectors. In fact, it was Jason's off-camera experience that gave Fast and Loud real depth. The audience might have watched for the flashy flips and road tests, but behind the scenes, it was craftsmen like Jason who made the builds last. If you saw a Gas Monkey car win awards or break auction records, chances are Jason Aker had something to do with it. He wasn't new to this game. He was a master who finally got noticed on his own terms. When Fast and Loud ended in 2020, most of the cast either tried to get new fame or disappeared completely. But for Jason Aker, the show ending wasn't the end. It was going back. Going back to the kind of quiet, focused work he loved before cameras ever came into the garage. While fans wondered where he went or what he was doing, Jason never made a big announcement, never started a YouTube channel, and never tried to ride the wave of his TV popularity. He simply went back to work. That move confused some fans, but for those who understood him, it made perfect sense. Jason wasn't in it for followers or fame. He was in it for the craft. The day after Fast and Loud showed its final episode, Jason was probably back in a booth somewhere, mask on, spray gun in hand, working on metallic flake on a classic Mustang. No sponsors, no hashtags, just work. Rumors went around. Some said he joined other high-end shops as a contract specialist. Others said he'd opened a small private shop in Oklahoma, taking only word-of-mouth customers. No signs, no advertising, just perfection. Every few months, a sharp-eyed fan would spot his name in a car show entry or on a builder's post. Proof that Jason hadn't disappeared. He'd just gone underground. And in a world where builders often become social media stars, Jason became a ghost. One who still left behind perfect builds that people couldn't stop talking about. After Fast and Loud ended, the custom car world thought Jason Aker would either retire quietly or finally take the spotlight. Instead, he showed up somewhere that caught everyone off guard bitchin' rides. In a brief but notable appearance, Jason was seen working with Dave Kindig and his team. A shop known for its polish, precision, and perfectionism. A place perfectly suited to Aker's quiet intensity. This cameo wasn't just fan service. It was a silent thumbs up from one of the biggest names in the game. Dave Kindig doesn't let just anyone work under his roof. That Jason was trusted to touch the same cars that went to SEMA and Pebble Beach said everything. The Kindig design may work in a different style than Gas Monkey, but the respect between true craftsmen runs deep. Behind the scenes, insiders say Jason wasn't there long, just long enough to help with some specialized paintwork and final touches on a couple of high-end builds. For Jason, it wasn't about fame or a new full-time job. It was about helping out, sharing knowledge, and keeping his hands in the kind of world-class work that gets his blood pumping. After Kindig, Jason's trail gets even fainter. He's appeared briefly in a few social media posts by builders and collectors. Always low-key, always in the background. He isn't chasing attention. He's chasing excellence. Whether it's a Ferrari restoration or a Shelby Concours build, Jason's hands leave a mark few can copy. And those who worked with him say the same thing. His standards haven't dropped 1 inch. He may not have stuck around for more episodes or tried to make money from his Kindig cameo, but being there confirmed what fans already knew. Jason Aker is still one of the most respected artists in the restoration world, even if he won't admit it himself. Jason's decision to step away from the spotlight wasn't running away. It was a return. A return to where he always belonged, a quiet shop, a clean booth, and a car that deserved his full attention. Since Fast and Loud ended and his brief appearance at Kindig, Jason has embraced a low-profile lifestyle focused completely on private projects. Not secretive, just silent. No need for social media likes or flashy builds with camera crews around. Just cars, tools, and time. Rumors suggest he's based out of a small garage in Oklahoma, working on select builds for top clients. People who don't want TV drama or social media posts, just excellence. One source claims Jason's now only reachable by referral, taking on 1 or 2 full restorations per year. These aren't flips. They're legacy builds. Cars that take months, even years, to finish. The kind of projects that end up in museums, private collections, or on concours lawns. Unlike many of his former castmates, Jason hasn't started a brand. No Jason merchandise, no branded spray guns, no masterclass for wannabe painters. He simply works. And in that silence, his legend continues to grow. He's become something rare in the industry, a craftsman who doesn't need to chase the algorithm to prove his worth. His work does the talking. Every now and then, a car show judge or high-end collector will whisper, "I think Aker did this one." And when you hear that, you know the car isn't just good, it's next level. That's the new Jason Aker, a phantom in the garage world. Building perfection for those who truly understand what it means. So why did Jason Aker leave television behind, especially when he had the talent, fan base, and chance to do so much more? The answer lies in something that's become increasingly rare, being real. For Jason, TV wasn't a career goal. It was a temporary chapter. A way to reach more people, yes, but never a comfortable fit. While others leaned into the cameras, Aker leaned out. His heart was in the work, not the angles, the takes, or the drama. Insiders from Fast and Loud have since admitted that Jason struggled with the production environment, the time crunches, the fake tension, the need to repeat a job just to get the shot. That kind of fake stuff clashed hard with a man who measures progress in tiny amounts, not minutes. He once told a coworker, "If I wanted to fake stuff, I'd work in marketing, not cars." That pretty much says it all. There's also a deeper reason. Jason's entire career has been built on trust and reputation. In his world, your word and your work is everything. And when reality TV blurred those lines, he quietly left. Not out of anger, not with a big statement, just a quiet choice to protect what mattered most, the integrity of the craft. He doesn't hate his time on Fast and Loud. In fact, by most accounts, he's proud of the attention it brought to real restoration work. But once the cameras stopped rolling, he didn't miss them. He didn't need them. Fame for Jason was never the goal. Precision was. And if stepping away meant fewer Instagram followers, but better builds, that was a trade he was happy to make. In the car world, reputations are everything. One mistake, one bad job, one dishonest bill, and you're done. But ask anyone who's worked with Jason Aker, shop owners, private collectors, even judges at car shows, and you'll hear one word come up again and again: integrity. Jason didn't just earn respect by building perfect cars. He earned it by being honest, consistent, and dependable in an industry that often rewards flash over substance. He wasn't the guy chasing magazine covers or Instagram likes. He wasn't giving TED Talks about paint correction or bragging about celebrity clients. He was the guy who showed up early, stayed late, and triple-checked the sanding before the final spray coat. That kind of dedication without ego made him not just good, but legendary among those who know. In fact, many restoration shops still keep Aker's name on a mental short list. Not because he's available, but because having him touch your project, even for a few weeks, means the difference between very good and best in class. His attention to detail is almost obsessive, and his standards higher than most customers even ask for. One story tells of Jason refusing to ship a completed build until he was happy with a clear coat after it had already passed inspection. That's who he is. And it's not just about the cars. People trust Jason with their most valuable projects because they know he won't cut corners, won't disappear on them, and won't make up stories for attention. In a world where builders often become influencers, Jason remains what many wish they could be, a true craftsman, free of gimmicks, guided by principles, and motivated only by the pursuit of excellence. So, what does Jason Aker's life actually look like now? Quiet, focused, purposeful. Based out of Oklahoma, Jason reportedly works out of a private shop. Small, no signs, and strictly referral only. There's no business listing, no official social accounts, and no marketing team pushing out builds for YouTube clicks. It's almost as if he doesn't want to be found, unless you really know where to look. And that's on purpose. After years in the TV spotlight and decades in demanding high-end restoration work, Jason's earned the right to slow down and work at his own pace. Some say he only takes on 2 or 3 full projects per year now, often involving vintage Corvettes, Shelbys, or rare European exotics brought in by serious collectors. These aren't fast builds. They're passion builds. The kind of cars where every bolt is original or handmade, where paint thickness is measured in tiny amounts, and where every stitch of upholstery tells a story. Outside of the shop, Jason is said to live a modest life. No flashy cars in the driveway, no interviews on car podcasts, and no plans to jump back into television. He reportedly spends time with family, enjoys the quiet of Oklahoma, and even teaches restoration principles to a small circle of apprentices, privately, not publicly, not for content for craft. While some fans wish he'd come back to the screen or share his process online, those who truly understand Jason know why he won't. His builds are personal. His life is peaceful. And after years in the storm of reality TV and shop politics, peace is more valuable than any spotlight. Jason Aker didn't become a household name. He didn't build a billion-dollar brand. He didn't flood YouTube with how-to videos or launch a merchandise line. What he did was rarer. He quietly became one of the most respected craft people in the custom car world without ever raising his voice. That's a legacy most TV stars will never touch. His legacy isn't just in the builds he completed. It's in how he carried himself, with humility, with precision, with patience. He reminded the industry that not every expert needs to be an entertainer and not every great story needs to be shouted. Some of the best ones are told in whispers, through the smoothness of a paint job, the alignment of a fender, or the gleam of a finished panel that took weeks to perfect. In a culture obsessed with followers, views, and viral clips, Jason's impact is found in quieter places. In the sigh of a collector seeing their dream car restored beyond expectations, in the respectful nods from peers who know just how hard that level of detail is to achieve, in the awe of young builders realizing that this is what real skill looks like when it's not chasing fame. As the years pass, Jason Aker may fade further from the public eye. But for those who value craftsmanship over clout, he'll always be remembered. Not for sound bites, but for silence, not for the drama, but for the discipline, and not for the fame he earned, but the respect he never asked for. And still got anyway. Still got anyway.